Hey guys, I just wanted to hop on and share a little Devo with you today, something that's been on my heart since listening to Rob's Devo yesterday. I was super touched by the passage that he read, and then we discussed it in a Bible study last night. But it just reread the story in Luke of the friends who brought their paralyzed friend to the house that Jesus was at and lowered him through the ceiling so that he had an opportunity to see Jesus. And I was thinking about that, and as we discussed it last night, we just talked about how those people had such a sense of urgency and saw that it was important that their friend had the chance to go and speak and just honestly just be touched by Jesus. And so I said in our Devo last night, like, I just feel that it is so important for us to feel that sense of urgency, not for just our friends, but just for anyone who is in the midst of you. And so I wanted to remind you of a story that's also from Luke, and it's the parable of the Good Samaritan. So a lot of people have heard this story before, and it's a story of a man who had been beaten and was left on the road, and three people passed him. One was a priest, the other one was someone that was just walking by, and then the other one was a Samaritan. And so it says, I'm just going to read this little section for you. It says, but a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where the man was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him, bound up all his wounds, poured oil and wine, and then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn, and he took care of him. And on the next day, he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back. Which of these 3 people do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who had fallen upon the robbers? And he said, the one who showed mercy to him. And Jesus said, you should go and do likewise. And at the beginning of this section, the scripture that I have underlined in my Bible that I frequent often is, he desired to justify himself, and he spoke to Jesus and said, who is my neighbor? And so I think that often of who is my neighbor, and Jesus proved who this was, because at the time this man was going down to from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell, and Samaritans didn't speak to those people. And the history behind that, I'm not really sure what it is, but I know because I have it written in my Bible where someone told me at some point that Samaritans and this man from Jericho, they didn't speak to one another. And so the fact that he was going to go and help him was a huge deal, because that just goes even farther to show you that it doesn't matter who it is that you come in contact with, and it doesn't matter what they look like or where they live or how much money they make. The importance is that they're your neighbor, and it's your responsibility to go and do like this Samaritan man did and take care of them in whatever way that may be. Now, I'm not saying go out to every single homeless person that you see today and help them and give them all money. I just mean that people that you come in contact with, it should be a priority for you to speak to them and speak life and truth to them, and just the gospel of Jesus, of who came on this earth and died to save their sins, and how important it is for them to believe that truth, to be in heaven one day. A long time ago, Mr. Tim preached, I think it was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and he spoke in his sermon of the importance of speaking truth to people, because when you go to heaven and you're standing at the gates and waiting to be judged on the day of judgment, the Lord has the book, like he's got both of his books. He's got the book of deeds and the book of life. And so you have to see that your name is in both of those to be able to enter the kingdom of heaven. And how important is it to you, for the people that you're around on a daily basis, to be in that book with you, to spend eternity with you in heaven? And so he said that, of course, obviously he wants to see all of his family members on that list, but then think outside of just your family of who else you couldn't stand a day without, or who you just couldn't live life not knowing they weren't okay, or knowing that they needed help in some way and you weren't doing that. So I just wanted to share that with you today, and hopefully give you a little bit of encouragement, and to just remind you of the importance of speaking the gospel to the people that you know. Sometimes we tend to neglect the ones that are closest to us because it's family. Like, I can talk to them whenever. But especially now in this time of the coronavirus pandemic, with so many people who have lost their lives, it should be even more urgent now that you speak to literally everyone that you can about the importance of living your life for Christ. I'm just so glad and honored to be able to share this and any other thoughts that I have, and I hope that this reaches someone who needs it today. But I just pray for you guys always and hope that you have a blessed day. Thanks for listening.